Recently, I tested a handful of servers in a race who could do the fastest rendering of them all. I also included a free option in there with Aternos, only now that I think back on it, I don't even know if that's a fair comparison, putting a free host against paid ones. As a matter of fact, is that even the best free host out there? So today I'm yet again going to pitch, in this time, free hosts against each other, with Aternos, Falix Node, Minehut, and Tubbo's new project, play.hosting, all competing for the crown who is not only the best in performance, but usability as well. We'll also take a look at what advantages an actual paid host can give you, and if the costs are still not worth it for you, we're going to look at ways to play with friends without using a free host that might handicap your experience. So welcome to Cygnus MC, where for some reason we test every host out there, and today let's answer the question, who is the king of free hosts? Two things real quick. In this review, I will not include ScalaCube and Mindfort. ScalaCube is extremely limited in what it can do, and Mindfort doesn't even allow you to bring Fabric 1.20.1, the version I test everything on, to the platform, so they're immediately a no-go. Secondly, let's first try user experience before going into performance. If you would just like to see how well they perform, all data is linked below in a spreadsheet. For now, let's just start with Aternos. I don't know about you, but having an ad play where a baby starts crying at 8 AM while I'm trying to get this video recorded isn't something I'm quite fond of. I made a note just how bad the ads on Aternos are on my previous video, and as we go through all of these hosts, keep an eye on the amount of ads plastered on the screen. Regardless, I find the Aternos panel, while uber restrictive, fairly easy to use. Integration with Google Drive to store backups on is also a nice touch, especially for free, as of easy support access. I don't think they offer too much. There's a bunch of guides available, but speaking from experience, I don't think Gen Alpha even reads if there's no Subway servers in the corner. But with the server now running and running the tests, let's go to our next contestant. Let's see how Tubbo's host compares, shall we? After waiting about 5 minutes to get out of a queue, 2 whole people were in, I finally got access to my server. It uses Pterodactyl, which is good, especially when you come from a lockdown host like Aternos, uploading actual jars like a boss. I was able to get the server running in no time. Although I have a few gripes here as well. While the ads aren't that bad, the server install took ages to complete. While feeding my very rotund cat, I came back to find that my server was back into limbo, and I had to wait another 5 minutes to get even back into my server to change the seed. While I understand that the queue is necessary for each free host, putting a server into cold storage where you can't even change simple values is an absolute shite, and I understand it's a limitation of Pterodactyl. The team, however, at Play Hosting seemed competent enough to find a better system around this, so I'm hopeful that this will change in the future. While my test was running, we went on to the next one. Hailing from my beloved country of Belgium, home country of beer and whining about weather, no, that's not Germany, the console was surprisingly neat, I'll be real here. It's likely to be some sort of pterodactyl fork, at least. Installing, uploading, and getting my server running took almost no time at all, and the best part was that there was no queue as well. Just boot it up and go. The fact that Falix also displays its CPU that is in the node you're on is also a very nice touch, which I really like. Overall, I almost have no gripes with the system. It's easy to use, everything's laid out, and it's easily taking the cake right now. And yes, there are ads which I absolutely despise. Most of the other hosts have them as well. Except for Minehut. Has been around for years now. Their panel, in my opinion, is the least useful one for anyone who's just starting out. Hiding everything in a tab instead of a menu button is just really bad for people who don't know where everything is or don't know what they're doing. Regardless, this console has no ads around it, which immediately shoots it up in the rankings, and then immediately falls down again the second I found out that there's a time limit here. Like, who plays Minecraft for 4 hours in a weekend? What are you, my fucking dad? Aside from that, it also suffers from the play hosting issue, where you have a queue before you can even access anything about your server. So I'm simultaneously a fan, and I simultaneously hate it at the same time. Kind of like Taylor Swift. Lavender Haze is still the best song she ever made, by the way. Sue me. Anyways, those are the 4 contestants. Let's compare them to a paid host to get a baseline of what you can get for a few bucks. For this example, I'll of course be using Lagless because I'm affiliated with them. You are encouraged to take everything I say here with a grain of salt because, again, I'm trying to be objective, but I can understand that talking about an affiliate link while you're talking about comparing hosts can be a little bit odd, but if you feel like supporting me, just know that you can use code CygnusMC for 35% off your first month on one of their servers. Now then, what do you get for your money here? Well, $8 gets you 2 whole CPU cores and 4 gigs of RAM. They use Pterodactyl, just like Tubbo does, with a few extras installed and some custom-made plugins. They also have a splitter feature, which also allows you to split one of your servers into 2, so one can act as the proxy, like a geyser of velocity, so that Bedrock players can play on your paper server, while the other just handles playing. But $8 is still a lot of money for a lot of people in this economy. What if you still don't want to pay anything? That's very valid. And for you, there's always the option of world sharing mods. The much discussed E4MC on this channel, the world host, and even the loathed Essential mod are all examples of getting your friends on the same world without having to pay a single penny to anyone. The only downside is that you will have to act as host, and while mod support is there, it can be a little bit wacky. Now then, let's get to the fighting arena. As always, I tested all these hosts by running a 1000 radius test in Chunky, but this time I also monitored their MSPT or milliseconds per tick value through Spark. As always, keep in mind that these tests are purely used to compare to each other, and it's not an indicative value of every single aspect of a server on its own. There is no real way of testing a server on all aspects as one. With that being said, let's get going. Running the same 1000 chunk test on the same seed, making sure to delete worlds in between, we can take the average chunks per second value or CPS and compare that to each other. If a host crashes the test, they will automatically get excluded from a recommendation and will be relegated as a last resort option. Now, let's start with Aternos, clocking in at a whopping 8.24 CPS after crashing more than a bazillion times with a maximum MSPT of 118. This has still remained the worst performer on the list of free hosts. While the queues aren't long, the overall locked feeling of the panel and the fact it keeps crashing while I'm doing anything performant leads me to suspect that they have some sort of server stopper in place for anyone trying to use too much CPU. Thus, they come into last place. Next on the not recommended list, Minehut. While performing better than most thanks to its slightly more powerful Epic 7443P, coming in at 13 CPS with a maximum MSPT of 95, it kept crashing and throwing me out of the server, leading me to wait in queue several times. That combined with the helicopter mon level of time limits on how long you can use your server is absolutely abhorrent, and the fact I can't even use or change anything on my server while I'm kicked out because it crashed is absolutely a non-recommender. Now then, the first on the recommendations list, taking second place in this list, Tubbo's play.hosting, coming in at 10.38 CPS on average and a hilarious MSPT max value of between 2500 and 7000 milliseconds per tick. It's honestly surprising to me that it didn't crash. With its Pterodactyl panel, it can serve as a great learning tool for setting up servers yourself or going on to Lilypad, which it is sponsored by. That being said, the limbo system, in combination with the amount of waiting time being about as long as it took me to finish a single render, it's not getting my recommendation very much. You can use it as a last resort, it's better, it doesn't crash, but still I would go for our winner here, Falix Node, coming in at a worse CPS of 9.1 on average and an average MSPT of 95. This console has no loud playing ads, no limitations on how much it can be used or how it can be used, and despite being our only Xeon contestant and thus suffering from performance, it takes the cake for not crashing, not having a queue, and not being a pain in the ass to use. Keep in mind, Lagless scored an average of 49.54 with an MSPT of 55 and 65, eclipsing all of these hosts, and I can almost guarantee you that hosting it yourself or even using E4MC would give you double the performance, if not better, than these hosts could. But hey, free is free. You don't look a given horse in the mouth, even if that horse smells and starts crying like a baby midway you're trying to put its saddle on. But let's get to some sort of conclusion here. So, free hosts. It's better than nothing, I hear people say often, and I agree, but in my opinion, the rise-like mods of E4MC, WorldHost, and yes, even Essential, it's not really needed anymore, unless you really got a shitty PC, and I'm talking a potato with some RAM sticks jammed into it level bad. And there are plenty of good, cheap hosts out there as well. Split the cost with your friends. You're playing for 2 weeks anyway. Just like 1 month can't hurt. Getting a multiplayer server nowadays is never been easier. And whether you self-host, use a mod, or a host, just remember that you always get what you're paid for. With that being said though, I was Lunar, you were very awesome, and good luck with hosting your own Minecraft server. Bye bye. Alright, so that was the free host stuff. I thought I'd implement the MSPT this time to see if I can use it to compare it a little bit. I'm still working on how to use it as a comparison. Right now it's just the higher it is, the worse it is, but I think there's more to it that I can use, especially with Spark. Spark is a very powerful tool, but I would like to just mention that the people who support me on Patreon and on YouTube get early access. They get all the interviews. I think I have like 20 to 25 interviews on the Patreon right now. They get access to a premium chat in my Discord. So if you feel like supporting me, either throw me a buck a month or, again, use lackless.gg, code CygnusMC for 35% off. It's a really good way to support me, and I really appreciate it. With that being said, don't take this video as, hey, free servers suck ass and you should never use them. You take it as it's a good learning tool, but you need to know that there are better methods out there. That's basically the point of this video. And again, I just wanted to compare some hosts and see which free host is the best for me, at least. With that being said, I will leave you with that. Bye-bye.